I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad to see all the faces that I know, and as you said, even some other people are a little bit grayer too as well. I'm here actually representing the management of IHS. I don't know if you know, currently the management is made up of 3 people: the director, the head of education and training, whose name is Jan Franse, and myself. I'm the head of international projects and advisory services. I think all of you know that IHS really has a triangle of activities. The most important is education, clearly, and training, but we also do research and advisory projects.
We are going to organize a refresher course on the same subject next year with the help of the IHS Rotterdam and Nuffic and Netherlands government, and that will be, the canvas will be much bigger for Southeast Asia. But let us be clear, because India is a paradigm which is being adopted at many places, so let us understand what we mean by this. So my introductory presentation is basically talking about the urbanization, poverty and urban services, and this is a typical picture which we find in mega cities.
There are basic services, roads and related services. There are a number of things in roads and related services which are using private sector. For example, construction of footpaths.
One of the fundamental, choices to opt for a PPP comes from the fact that it's based on a value for money analysis. If it costs the government lower than doing it themselves, that's when they go opt for a PPP. The second thing is that you get better services because they are able to, through a risk allocation, divide the roles and responsibilities between the government and the private sector in a way that those who can do it better take on that particular role.
One of the things at IHS, we did a study for the PPUE, and there's another dimension to Pro4 that we discovered, that all these principles of value for money, all those the requirements for risk sharing and things can also be if the government takes a responsibility for promoting projects which involve report and implementation. All those principles can also be applied to those kinds of partnerships. So not necessarily the huge, large-scale investment projects, but also, let's say, issues of solid waste, etc., that the poor can also develop projects or businesses where you can apply exactly the same principles in smaller scale.
And most of the examples that I saw mostly will be coming up and we have not yet decided whether they are successful or not. So how exactly do we change our strategy in terms of allocating a PPP project?
I guess, this is a difficult market and it is evolving. The willingness to pay, etc. is an issue. The governments will need to support it more in the initial period. They have to be willing to support it through annuities, etc., rather than expect them to be self-sustaining projects.
How do you mitigate the risks that the private sector feels in investing in the poor communities, and how do you actually structure such projects to make them feasible for PPPs to really happen?
There are various ways and means. The only thing is that we have to institutionalize them. One of the ways is land to be used as a resource.
That's where the low-income economies are. And then the ones on the right, the spiraling columns, these are the high-income economies. And most of the PPPs have actually been happening there, and the less ones in the and very little in the brown. And the reasons the World Development Report 2006 gives, that this kind of thing, in the light color, it reflects positive enabling environment and a general acceptance of the private sector. Yeah?